at the moment we're in this kind of real slog between Starmer and Farage, and they're just going at each other hammer and tongs.
When we interviewed Nigel Farage on our very first episode, he said she won't last till Christmas. Do you think that's still the case?
I think people are suspicious as to why he wants to introduce this. He says it's about tackling immigration. Does anyone really believe that? No. Not one jot.
Welcome to Friday's edition of the Daily Expresso. I'm JJ Enisiobi, and this is Daily Express Associate Editor Sam Lister. Gaffer, how you doing?
I'm all right, you?
I'm good. Do you want me calling you Gaffer?
Well, you know I don't like it, but you persist anyway. It's another thing to go in the HR file. Along with you claiming that I wear jogging bombs to work, which I just want to put on the record is not true.
Fine. It's Friday, my favourite part of the week. Time for us to get stuck into your comments. It doesn't matter if you love what we do or you hate our guts. We always want to hear your opinions. So like, share, subscribe, and get the conversation flowing on all our videos. Tons of you were gutted that Esther was away on holiday this week after her streak of hot takes, which she delivered on her last episode. Desmond Tops said, "Please, Esther, join reform," with a peace sign. This is a peace sign. Scribble Cheshire 8263 said, "Well done, Esther MP. You are saying what so many of us think." Well, Scribble, will you be voting for the Tories then at the next election? Andy went one further and said, "JJ, tell Phil he's a lucky man to be married to Esther. She's intelligent, logical, and beautiful. I hope their marriage lasts a lifetime." Well, I'd agree she's beautiful, intelligent, logical.
JJ.
Meow.
Well, when Esther's back next week, she'll be giving you what for. Yeah, she's great. I mean, there's a reason why we have Esther as a columnist, the voice of common sense, and it's because she really she says the things that our readers think. So you can catch up with her every week in print and online.
Why do you think our viewers love her so much? Because, I mean, listen, you and I get lots of comments. None are as glowing as the ones that Esther gets.
None are as glowing as that, Esther, but she's obviously, she's just really saying what people want to hear. And she says it with sense. But on that note, JJ, I'm going to have to read you a comment we've had from last week's episode, our Friday episode. And Julia Lacey, she's not a fan. Well, hopefully she's a fan of... Hi, Julia. Hopefully you're a fan of the show, even if you're not a fan of us. These two bozos obviously didn't listen to Reform's ILR proposals. Then she goes on to explain what Zia Youssef had actually said about Reform's proposals on indefinite leave to remain. And then she goes on to say, whoever it was who called this woman to BBC hit that particular nail right on the head. So that's me told. Anyway, hi, Julia.
Well, I haven't been called a bozo in years.
It's a great word. I love it.
Yeah, it's good. Thank you, Julia. I love that word. I want to find out where bozo comes from. I like word etymology. That's my secret passion.
Get the dictionary out.
Indeed. Right. On Tuesday, I had the unique privilege of interviewing the leader of the opposition, Kemi Badenoch. You know, it's Badenoch. You told me why it's Badenoch.
No bad in Badenoch.
No bad in Badenoch. I used the opportunity to grill her on her party's performance before the last election, her leadership, the rise of Farage, immigration, and if she was going to be the next Prime Minister. Now, she gave robust answers to all of these, and I've got to be honest, I was mightily impressed by her. Here are some comments you have shared about the exclusive interview. Johnny Volkerball 9578 said, "I think Kemi is such a lovely person. I agree. I would vote for her every day of the week. Compare her with Starmer and Farage, and she wins by a mile. She has class. Don't bother telling me how wrong I am." Well, Johnny, I'm only going to tell you how right you are. I think Kemi does have class. I much prefer her to Starmer. Could she beat Farage? I'm not sure.
It's an uphill fight, isn't it? It really is an uphill battle. I think, JJ, you were so impressed by her.
I was.
She wooed you. And I think if she could do that another 60-odd million times, then she's got a chance. But I think, sadly, it's going to be very tough for her to turn it around. Although, saying that, I think at the moment we're in this kind of real slog between Starmer and Farage, and they're just going at each other hammer and tongs.
Mm-hmm.
But we are 4 years out from the election.
Yeah.
And that's quite exhausting for them, quite exhausting for the nation. You do wonder eventually if people start looking around going, well, who else is there around if these two men are just going to slug it out for 4 years? I don't know. I think Nigel Farage has got the ear to tune into what people want for their future, for the country, what what their concerns are. He understands how ordinary people think. And I think Kemi Badenoch's going to have quite a tough challenge to kind of take that on. I think Keir Starmer, the idea that Keir Starmer is really going to be able to turn things around, I think is fanciful, really.
Oh.
I think when you are this unpopular, this soon into a government, there really is no way back.
Yeah.
But we have got a long way to go. Anything could happen. We when Boris Johnson was elected, we expected him to be in for 10 years, and then look what happened. We had another 2 prime ministers before the next election. So
yeah, well, Johnny, Volker, and me are not the only ones who think Kemi is wonderful. Mitzi said, "I think Kemi is just getting started. I'm very hopeful about what she's doing with the Tories. Let's see where they are in a couple of years. I'm hopeful. Go Kemi." But it wasn't all unanimous support. Rex the Badge said she thinks she's going to be the next Prime Minister. Good to see she has a sense of humour. Ouch. And TR345Y says, Tory party is finished and they are desperate for a coalition with Reform. Meanwhile, our regular viewer, Phil, retired of Guildford, Phil said, Kemi is completely delusional if she thinks that the other political parties aren't talking about the Tories because they are unbeatable. Phil kind of has a point. I feel rude to say that Kemi is delusional because, as you know, I'm such a big fan of hers now. But I'm not sure the reason that Starmer and Farage don't mention her is because they're terrified of her.
Yeah, I think Phil nails it on the head, as he so often does there with his assessment of Kemi's approach on that. She says, "Oh, the boys aren't letting me into this because they're worried about taking me on. They're worried about having a fight with me."
Mm-hmm.
They're not even, she's not even in the game, and that's a real problem. But as I say, there are 4 years to go. Things do change quickly at the moment. We are a bit like Italy used to be, that kind of constant revolving door at number 10. Back in the day when Italy seemed to have a new prime minister every 2 minutes. It does feel a little bit like that at the moment. But so who knows? It's all to play for still. I wouldn't, if I was her, I wouldn't give up just yet. But she's got a really big battle ahead.
When we interviewed Nigel Farage on our very first episode, he said she won't last till Christmas. Do you think that's still the case?
She's got a really difficult Conservative Party conference coming up this week. This is going to be a big test for her. Can she actually inject a bit of enthusiasm, a bit of energy, a bit of life into the party? It feels like it's very much on life support at the moment. And she's going to have to work really hard to try and enthuse those few MPs and former MPs who turn up and the activists. She's gonna have a job on her hands. And then if she can get through that, I think she'll probably get through until the elections next year, obviously the elections in Wales and the local elections. And that's the point when everyone thinks will be a big kind of danger for her. So, yeah, I think she'll survive through Christmas, but I think spring will be difficult for her. I
told Kemi that I thought she was quite stoic before having done the interview. My opinion has since changed. How would you sum her up in one word?
Composed. I think composed. I think she is quite composed, but that's not what wins hearts.
Yeah.
If you look at Keir Starmer's speech, for example, this week at Labour Party conference, and that very weird delivery he has, very nasal delivery, and he talks in these really weird phrases that make no real sense, and you come away slightly baffled. And then you look at Nigel Farage and his speech to party conference, and it's really just Nigel talking to the activists off the top of his head. It's not all auto-cued and every line's been poured over by 1,000 advisors. It's just him saying what he believes, and that's what's really connecting with people.
Yeah.
And that's what Starmer can't do, and it's what Kemi is struggling to do at the moment. So,
right, well, on to a topic that's connected with all of you: digital IDs. Last Friday, Labour announced a very controversial digital ID scheme that has been ripped to shreds by you, the viewers, the readers and the listeners. According to the government, this new scheme will help combat illegal working while making it easier for the vast majority of people to use vital services. The government is proposing to make it mandatory for everyone in the UK to have one and will make it impossible to get a job if you refuse. One of our viewers said, I have my birth certificate, my medical card, my national insurance number, my driving licence paper and my driving licence card. And my passport, which I'm sure has all gone digital now, so they can all go whistle. I don't need more ID or super ID invading my life. That was from Sandra Blake. Another raised the issue of surveillance. Ty Cotate 9346 said, digital ID will only be used to monitor and penalise the law abiding and dissenting. It has nothing to do with illegal migration. Why is this scheme so divisive? Because from what I'd read, when people polled on this within the last few years, there was like average support to it. After Starmer raised it, it's then the support for it is completely gone. The problem is with the messenger.
It's the problem with Starmer, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's the kiss of death. You know, he touches anything, and then people don't want to know anything about it. You know, I think people are suspicious as to why he wants to introduce this. So look, he says it's about tackling immigration. Does anyone really believe that? No, not one jot. Essentially, if you look across the European Union, of the member nations there, the 27 member nations, only 2 have not had paper IDs in recent history. Has that solved the illegal migration problem? No. You know, you have hundreds of thousands of people coming into the European Union illegally every year, and they have ID cards. So is this going to solve anything? Of course it's not. Of course it's not. You already have to have a national insurance number and an ID check when you start a new job. Employers are already obliged to do that.
Yeah.
So what difference will this make? Absolutely none. It's a nonsense. I mean, it's just farcical. It's clearly just a smokescreen to look like, one, that they're doing something on illegal migration, and 2, to distract from the absolute mess of this failing government. I mean, it's just bonkers. The whole thing is ludicrous.
We had Jonathan Gullis on the show yesterday. He said, quite unpopularly with the right side of politics, he said he's not opposed to them. We gave all our data to Apple, to Amazon. Jeff Bezos knows what my favorite things are to buy every single day of the year. My date of birth, my address, my bank details, it's all everywhere on my phone. My apps are tracking me. They know where I am right this second. So what difference does having an ID card make?
I would trust Jeff Bezos with my data more than I'd trust Keir Starmer, wouldn't you? I mean, you know, how many data breaches? You know, before politics got really interesting, when I first started, we used to write about data breaches all the time. Every week there was some, you know, slightly inebriated civil servant who'd left some floppy disk on a train on the way home.
Yeah.
And then it had hundreds and thousands of files with people's information on. Obviously, things are a little bit more sophisticated than that now. But, you know, doesn't mean just because you give your information to Amazon that we should just roll over and let the government impose this ID on us.
Well, it regards them saying this is going to stop for illegal migrants from being hired in jobs. Why aren't the government just putting people who hire illegal migrants, why don't they just throw them in prison?
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah.
It's a distraction. It's an irrelevance. It will not tackle this problem one jot. There is, if you look around any major city, and all those people on, you know, on motorized bikes for various, let's not name them, various I'm trying to think of the way of saying it, food delivery companies, let's put it that way. We all know who they are, whizzing round at, you know, breakneck speeds on pavements, you know, nearly knocking you over on your way home while they deliver some takeaway to some, you know, some house. We know that lots and lots of those workers are not legal. They are people, you know, asylum seekers who've been in the country a matter of days, who are not eligible to work, who suddenly are out, you know, earning money. And they do it, they play the system. They get one person registers to be the official person on that app, and then they sublet those accounts to illegal workers. It's just ludicrous. We have a shadow economy, and Keir Starmer's ID cards will not tackle that.
Do you think if Nigel Farage had come forward and said 2 weeks ago, I'm going to stop illegal immigration by introducing national ID cards, do you think everyone would have been like, yeah, Nigel, yeah, let's get, I love ID cards, track me?
I think people would give Nigel Farage more of a hearing on it, because the problem is, isn't it, with Keir Starmer, do we believe that he really wants to tackle illegal migration? I mean, he spent his entire career railing against the country's migration policy. You know, as a human rights lawyer, he has set his face against essentially people accuse him of wanting open borders. I think that's probably going a bit far, but it's not far off, really. His entire history is somebody who is against the migration rules we've had, or somebody who wants to exploit the loopholes in them to allow people to stay here when most people really think they shouldn't. So I think people don't trust what he has to say on this, whereas Nigel Farage clearly does want to sort this problem out. So people probably would give him a bit more of a hearing. But that said, I just don't think the British people want this.
Okay. Well, sticking with Starmer, his war of words with Farage continued this week as he blasted the Reform Party's immigration policy as racist and immoral. Farage is calling for the reform of indefinite leave to remain. The PM later added that he did not think Farage or Reform supporters were racist, but instead was calling out the policy. Many have compared his statement to the time Hillary Clinton called Donald Trump supporters deplorables. His statement did not go down well with Reform supporters either. We had tons of comments on this story from you. Jackie Russell said, if Starmer was any good, he would not even have to mention him and get on with being Prime Minister instead of running scared because he knows he's hopeless and the country knows that too. Howie says, terrified of Farage. I'm taking that as a good thing. The Democrats were terrified of Trump. It does appear that Starmer is obsessed with Nigel Farage. I don't know if you've seen this music video. Justin Timberlake, Crimea River. It's about his relationship with Britney Spears. Stay with me. In the video.
I'm glad you've got modern references here. This is going back 20 years. But anyway, go on.
In the video, it's Justin Timberlake peering around the corner and watching the Britney Spears-esque character going about her daily life in the house and showering. That's how I feel with Farage and Starmer. Starmer's like this, looking around to see what Farage is going to do next. And he's always talking about him, which I think to me, that means that Starmer is weak and he's clearly scared of Farage.
Yeah, he's in blind panic, and we can see that. The whole speech Keir Starmer gave this week at his party conference, I think there were 8 mentions of flags.
Yeah.
Does anyone really believe that he loves the flag, that he wraps himself in the flag? I mean, it's inauthentic, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's a bit, he talks about this kind of, this plastic patriots, that's what he calls reform, and this patriotic renewal. What does that mean? No idea. And then he kept saying a Britain built for all. I don't know what that means. Just grammatically makes no sense. But these things, they're just baffling because they're inauthentic. No one believes that Starmer loves the flag. And if you have to keep going on about how much you love something,
yeah,
it just flags to people. It flags to people. Actually, really, maybe you're trying a little bit too hard to prove something.
Yeah.
I think that is an issue for him. And the obsession with Nigel Farage. Keir Starmer is the Prime Minister of our country. He's got a lot to get on with. We have major problems. We have a massive welfare state. We have a massive problem with illegal migration. We have huge numbers of legal migration. We do have a problem with employment, with where our young people are going to be able to, how they're going to be able to get on the housing ladder, what kind of futures they have, what impact AI is going to have on their lives. Are they going to have proper jobs to see them through the next 40 years of their lives? All these massive, massive things to deal with. And he's obsessed with Nigel Farage. But his only answer to it is telling his conference to get your flag out, wave your flag. It's just bonkers.
Do you think it was fair for Starmer to call the policy racist, change indefinite leave to remain?
It was just stupid, wasn't it? It was. I think we had Bob Seeley on earlier this week, and he said it's just bad politics. It just really, it makes no sense. Do not insult the voters. It's rule 1.
Yeah.
He is like the Gerald Ratner of the political world. Don't insult the customer. Don't insult the voter. It is just bonkers. And also, he doesn't know where he is. The problem is he doesn't know who he's trying to appeal to. So one minute he's trying to appeal to the working class, traditional Labour voters of old, and so he tries to do this reform thing. And then the next minute, he's trying to appeal to the kind of more Lib Demi types. And, look at them, they're all racist. And it's just really confusing. What message are you trying to send? Who are you trying to appeal to? It makes no sense to me.
Well, Farage claimed that with Starmer saying the policy is racist and supporters are racist, this has put his staff at risk Do you think it has? I don't believe that. I think Farage is playing it up, and rightly so, rightly so. But is it richer Farage to be saying that some quote unquote, to use his own words, hurty words is going to put him and his people at risk?
Look, I believe in free speech, and I believe that means free speech within the law. You know, nothing to incite violence and all that kind of stuff. I'm not a free speech absolutist, but I do believe that means both sides have a right to say things the other doesn't want to hear. But that said, words have impact. You know, we're journalists. Words have impact. They have power. You have to be careful how you use them. And working in Parliament, as I used to do, you know, I worked there while Joe Cox was murdered, while Sir David Amess was murdered. I know that during the pro-Palestine marches last year that many MPs felt their security was really at risk. And that was on kind of both sides of the debate, as it were. And they felt really concerned about their security. Officers were being attacked. Politicians really are, they really are vulnerable in a way that they didn't used to be. They are. People do attack them. We have seen that happen. Nigel Farage has had milkshakes thrown at him, and yeah, okay, you can go, "Hi, it's only a milkshake. What does that matter?" But he didn't know it was milkshake.
Yeah,
it could have been anything.
Yeah,
and I really do think we have to really take seriously the security of all our politicians. It's. I don't want to live in a country where politicians are at risk of being attacked for what they say.
Absolutely, but the right have. From people being imprisoned for over tweets, the right, including Farage in that, have said, well, they shouldn't be, it's just words, what does it matter? But people on the right and people on the left go on Twitter, whatever platform they use, and they incite violence towards other people with their words. And the right were saying, no, this people shouldn't be put in prison for it. Now Farage is saying someone else's words are going to put him in danger. You can't have it both ways.
I think the Lucy Connolly tweet, you can argue all day about whether that is inciting violence. The particular wording wasn't encouraging people to go out and do particular acts, but it was saying she didn't care if those things happened. Obviously, she then pleaded guilty and the court did what it did. But I think a lot of people do not understand to this day why serious criminals seem to get away with lighter sentences. And, you know, our mother was given a very long sentence for one tweet.
That's not very BBC of you, Gaffer. I don't know what happened to you this week.
I don't think I'm ever going to be able to shake this BBC tag.
Not if I can help it.
I'm going to have to lean into it, maybe.
Well, Gaffer, thank you very much. That is it for this week. Please keep on asking us your questions. And as always, let us know who you want to see on the show and what stories you want us to cover in more detail. Thanks for watching the Daily Expresso. Join us again on Monday, where we'll get stuck into the headlines once more. Bye-bye.